Hey there guys, how are you today, and welcome to my preview of the 2018 Spanish Grand Prix, which is taking place in Catalonia this weekend. The 2017 Spanish Grand Prix was a pretty exciting affair. Great Grand Prix with a race-long battle between the championship contenders Lewis Hamilton in the Mercedes and Sebastian Vettel in the Ferrari, the first time we saw those two drivers go wheel to wheel in 2017. As it is the first Grand Prix of the European season, we can expect a large amount of updates from all the teams. That's almost tradition. They always come at the Spanish Grand Prix, as it's quite a good circuit. And I guess the most notable thing is the B-Spec car that Mclaren are promising us some huge changes from that team. So I guess we have to question who will move forward and who will go backwards. And let's now discuss this question as we preview the 2018 Spanish Grand Prix. So we're going to start with Mercedes, and of course the driver Lewis Hamilton is leading the Drivers' World Championship following his fairly lucky victory in Baku. However, he still seems a little bit off the pace, and I guess the win in Baku kind of covered over the cracks. Mercedes will be hoping though any updates they bring to this Grand Prix and future races will fix the issues they seem to have, because in testing and Australia they were the fastest team. I think everyone thought that. Toto Wolff has admitted that. And they're going to be hoping that in Spain this weekend that any upgrades they bring will help fix their car and put their drivers back at the front of the grid. Well, Valtteri Bottas is going to have to come back stronger than ever before after his huge disappointment at the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Of course, he was leading after some good strategy, but then run over a bit of debris and got a puncture with only a couple of laps left. I'm sure you remember that. And yeah, he's had disappointing weekends in the past and has always come back stronger. And we're going to have to hope he can do that this weekend to finally mark out his championship contender rating type of thing. He can't win this World Championship, but he has to win a race ASAP if he's not going to fall behind the Ferrari of Vettel and his teammate Lewis Hamilton. So talking of Ferrari, we have to admit they do seem to have the fastest car so far this season. They've won a couple of races already, leading constructors, but I think Spain and the Spanish Grand Prix is generally the track where teams can almost prove this. This is, I think, where we're going to see who is the fastest this season. It doesn't mean that the winner of this Grand Prix will go on to win the championship, because of course all the tracks are different, but this is normally a good test of who has the fastest car. Obviously still loads of discussion about who is the number one and number two driver at a team, but Kimi has had the pace so far this season, particularly in qualifying, and he has just been a little bit unlucky in places. Is Spain going to be the race where he finally beats Vettel, wins the race, and looks like a 2018 championship contender? I'm not so sure, but tell me in the comments. Now, Red Bull. Obviously, there will be loads of attention on Red Bull this weekend to see if there'll be any further consequences of their collision after the last Grand Prix. Of course, we know Ricciardo and Verstappen collided on, I believe it was lap 50 after 61. Of course, still loads to debate whose fault was that. Of course, you could tell me in the comments if you really want, but I think it was 50-50, maybe 60-40 in Ricciardo's fault. But yeah, so it'll be interesting. Will they allow their drivers even to race wheel to wheel? Or will they be a bit more careful like Force India had to be towards the end of last season? A high downforce circuit should also suit the team, with a less powerful engine but a good downforce car. And hopefully any updates they bring to the Grand Prix will help them to at least keep up and beat Mercedes and Ferrari. Now Force India, who I mentioned there, they're going to be on a high following Perez's also fairly lucky podium, let's be honest, at the last Grand Prix. But we know this season, it hasn't been good enough for Force India, especially in comparison to their high standards they've been setting over the last few years in Formula 1. So we're really hoping for some positive updates to make some huge steps this weekend to help them still cling on to their P4 in the Constructors' Championship. Now Renault, and this is another team that needs to make a huge step with upgrades this weekend. It's been widely reported that Renault have found a way of benefiting from the fuel. I don't understand it particularly. And this is reportedly also going to help McLaren, but not Red Bull, who have a different fuel supplier. Carlos Sainz obviously is going into his home race, as well as Fernando Alonso is in McLaren, and will be hoping to continue the progress that he seems to be making in Baku, where he had a bit of a stronger race, and will be hoping for his best performance of the season so far at his home Grand Prix this weekend. Moving on now to Sauber. So Leclerc will be obviously full of confidence following his amazing results in Baku. I thought he did brilliantly, getting points. But Sauber, I reckon, are going to struggle this weekend. Of course, it would be nice to see them make some big steps with the funding they're getting from Alfa Romeo. But I don't think it's going to come this weekend. And I think they're going to be struggling this weekend if they don't get some kind of lucky result. Now McLaren, and this is a team that really need to improve. Of course, they're bringing a huge update to 2018 Spanish Grand Prix. Reportedly, a new front wing, new dashboards, new engine cover, new floor, and new rear wing. So the car could look completely different, and the aim of it is to basically reduce the drag to improve their straight line speed. And of course, we don't know whether that's going to work out or not, but their drivers Alonso and Van Dorn will be hoping. But they've had a lot of false hope from McLaren over the last few years, I'd say since the start of 2013. So it's hard to really believe that it's going to go well for them. But Fernando Alonso will be full of confidence after his fantastic win in the World Endurance Championship race at Spa at the weekend. And I guess he'll be hoping that the team will make a big step forward as it is his home race. And he's also been apparently quoted as saying, I don't know how true this is, but he's kind of hope that their rival teams like Force India and Haas and Renault will struggle with any upgrades, at least initially. Now moving on to Williams, another team in desperate need for updates to basically get faster in a straight line, and the corners, they seem to be struggling all over the place at the moment. Lance Stroll has improved recently, I think that's a fair comment, but it's hard for me to predict anything positive for the team, apart from them being right at the back of the grid. Now Toro Rosso. So the engine supplier Honda reportedly in talks with Red Bull to supply their engines next season. That would be really exciting, of course. And I guess they need a Toro Rosso cars to do well this weekend to basically give them an extra selling point of their engine to Red Bull. Been a couple of incidents between the two Toro Rosso drivers, Gasly and Hartley, so far this season in recent weeks. Of course, they had a collision in China and then near collision qualifying in Baku. But they'll be hoping for a simple but successful weekend at the Spanish Grand Prix. Finally, we have to talk about the Haas team, who kind of got to be on the defensive. They clearly got a great car this season, at least the fourth fastest car, I would say. But I would say the drivers not reaching the car's full potential, particularly Grosjean after his awful crash in Baku where he managed to spin under the safety car. They will need upgrades to stay ahead of the other midfield teams, which ultimately have more resources than them, and I'm going to predict that Haas may start to struggle a bit. So I'm going to do predictions now, and I'm going to say Ferrari are going to dominate this weekend. I said they did kind of dominate Baku, they just got unlucky, so I'm going to go Vettel for pole and win, and I'm going to put Raikkonen in second place. I'm going to put Hamilton in third, Bottas in fourth, Ricciardo in fifth, Sainz in sixth, Hülkenberg seventh, Alonso eighth, Verstappen ninth, and I'm going to put my neck on the line, putting Pierre Gasly in P10. So yeah, tell me what you think of my predictions and what are your predictions in the comments down below, and I'll see you guys next week when I'm going to review the 2018 Spanish Grand Prix.